Hi, I'm Jimmy Jan. I'm 22. I'm a medical student, and I have a spinal cord injury.
A recent spinal cord injury.
Yeah, as of August 2021.
Oh, it's about a year ago. God, you're pretty good at being in a wheelchair for a guy who's been in it for a year.
Yeah, practice every
you
day.
love a mono as well, I've noticed.
I
Loves
do.
a wheelie when he was getting in the spot. Mate, we know you because you're a bloody online sensation. So obviously smashing on Instagram and TikTok. I mean, we'll get straight into it. Like, we'll talk about your injury in a second, but you went straight from an injury to like talking about your disability pretty openly, straight up. It's going to be scary as, man. It took me like 28 years to want to do that. Why did you just go all in straight up?
I don't know. I guess I was just bored in rehab. Wanted to make some videos.
Yeah.
It was just. I mean, plus, I think also maybe the difference is that you grew up in a world of social media. I think we spoke on the bonus episode last week where Dylan said, if I had this when I was a kid, you've essentially, not that you're a kid, you're an adult, but you've also grown up with social media around you the whole time. Whereas like MySpace was a brand new thing when I was in high school, and obviously it's evolved into what it is today. But so I think it's the norm. Whereas for us, Dylan and I, even though we're not ancient, we feel ancient right now. It's still sort of a new evolving thing, but it's always been part of your life, right?
Yeah, I mean, with social media, you're just always sharing your like stuff online, like everything about your life. And so when I had my accident, it was just like, something happened to me. So I was like, share it online.
But were you pretty active on social media before that as an able-bodied person?
Oh, what did I have? Like 1,300 followers on Instagram. So that was pretty big.
Yeah, you're a big deal, mate. That's what Angus has now, so don't back too much.
Well, I always let's just stop here for a second. In case there is somebody watching this, able-bodied with disability or not, just think about 1,300 people in a room. That was my whole school assembly, right? When I was in high school.
These days, you're like, it's nothing.
1,300 people. That is a lot of people.
Yeah, that's so true.
That's people lose perspective sometimes. Like sometimes when I go like our ListenABLE audience every month is the MCG. I go, holy shit.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Mate, you've got like bloody 8 MCGs on TikTok. How many you got now?
640.
That's pretty, 6.5. I'll take that.
Probably maybe by the time you're listening to this, 1 million.
So one thing that like you kind of fell into it doing the social media stuff around your disability, but as I said, it took me a long, long time to be fully authentic. Do you think you're fully authentic now, or are you still putting a bit of like Instagram/TikTok buzz around it?
I feel like I'm authentic. I think there's like a lot more of my experience that I could like share. Like there's a lot of like points of education that I'm like pretty excited to share like with my followers.
And you can do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like what?
Oh, just stuff like even just how I pee, like.
I found when you went for a swim at the Newcastle Baths, I found that really interesting. I was like, this is just a lack of knowledge. I didn't know that you could, you find swimming freeing because it's no real difference apart from obviously a lack of, kick. But I found that really interesting. You getting in and out of the ocean bath there as well. So, I mean, in a way, it's all of your content is sort of educational.
I went to the Northern Territory and I went on we went in Groot Island and did like some fishing, and I got salt water in my wheelchair and it absolutely cooked it. Yeah. I saw a video of you the other day, like washing your wheelchair in the ocean. What are you doing?
I wasn't doing it on purpose, and I did clean it after.
Okay.
But did it rust through?
No. I took care of it.
I feel like calling you going, mate, I know you want the likes.
I got a lot of messages about it.
That is a crap idea.
Yeah, there was a lot of wheelchair users commenting and saying, what is wrong with
mate,
you?
I was like, get out of there, you idiot. Yeah.
Well, I think it's, we'll obviously get into social media and reflect on last week's bonus episode, which you heard as well. But let's go back to August 2021 when medical student Jimmy Jan was at was it Perisher?
Perisher.
Yeah, so you're on the slopes, skiing or snowboarding?
I was doing both. I'd moved down there for the season.
So which one's responsible? Is it snowboarding or skiing?
Skiing, yeah.
Okay.
If I'd chosen the snowboard that day, I probably wouldn't be here. But yeah, much better snowboarder than skier.
What happened?
So yeah, I'd been down at the snow for like 2 months. Just was living down there because COVID sent all my uni online. So lots of skiing and snowboarding. And yeah, August 9th, I decided I would go with my skis. I had class in the afternoon, so I was like just going to get a couple hours up there. And it was the first run of the day. I caught the lift up and then I was headed across the mountain and I went past the terrain park and I was like, ooh, I should do some jumps on the way down. Like the train park's empty. And yeah, I did some jumps. I hit the jumps and then the jumps hit back. Yeah, I hit the first one and it was like sweet. And I've hit these jumps like heaps of times before. Landed it, and then the second jump I hit it with a bit of speed, and then my weight just wasn't where it needed to be, and I ended up over rotating backwards. And then it's like a 5 meter jump, and then I got about 3 meters of air, so I've been told. And then I landed like on my head.
On your head?
Yeah, directly on my head, and then lost
bro.
consciousness. So I don't remember what like happened immediately after that, but the witnesses on the chairlift, they said it was a land on the head and then like directly on the back. After.
Scorpion.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but like a reverse
scorpion.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know what you're saying.
Like,
yeah.
Did you have any brain damage?
I hit my head pretty hard.
Helmet on?
I've absolutely.
Yeah, you'd be not here.
People who don't wear helmets are so crazy.
But like good advice. Like,
Yeah.
because people don't wear helmets.
You need to wear a helmet. I think if I wasn't wearing a helmet, I would either have like a traumatic brain injury or like be dead. Because I had a bleed on my brain, and yeah, but no ramifications from that.
So what's your next memory after that?
About 3 minutes later, when I woke up on the snow.
Oh, you woke up with the snow?
Yeah. And the ski patrol was around me, and they were like, "Hey, like, what happened?" And I was like, "I guess I didn't land that jump very well." And yeah, they're like, I was like trying to get up, and they're like, "No, like, stay still, like, just stop." And they like took my boots off and like, "Can you like move your feet? Can you like wiggle your toes?" And I was like, "I'm pretty sure I'm wiggling my toes right now." And I wasn't. And yeah, then they put me on the sled, took me down the mountain to the medical center and did some x-rays. But yeah, I've like, on the snow, I knew I was, well, like you can't like feel your legs, you can't move. So I knew I was like paralyzed or something. And yeah, in the medical center, they did like x-rays. And yeah, they showed me. I like begged the radiographer to show me because I used to study radiography, so I just love x-rays. And she showed me, and I could see that my 10th vertebra was like completely dislodged over my T10.
Okay.
Over my spinal canal. Yeah.
Do you reckon in that moment you knew you might have been paralysed because you were studying medicine? Because a lot of people others would be like, I don't know what's going on, you know?
Well, yeah, like actually the semester before my accident, we had just like covered spinal cord injuries, and it was like our neuro unit, so learned all about spinal cord injuries. So I was picking up what was happening.
The thing about that is, right, there's knowledge is power, right? And so you had obviously a greater understanding from seeing those x-rays and probably using some medical terminology to the doctor, etc., about, you know, your current predicament. But also could make it scarier because you know what, you know, that means. You probably have a greater understanding than someone who's just going to parachute for their first weekend ever and doesn't have anyone in their life with disability. Which one was it? Were you comforted by the knowledge that you knew where you were and you didn't need somebody to slowly break it to you and you ripped that Band-Aid off, or was it the other, vice versa?
I think because I like knew what was happening, like, yeah, I guess like I knew probably what the outcome was going to be, so I wasn't like too like stressed, I guess. Like, you know, when like the next day after surgery, when the surgeons came to talk to me, like they weren't really like breaking heavy news to me. I like kind of like almost come to terms with that while I was like still in the medical center.
That's very rare, bro. You know that. You're like saying like, yeah, I knew I was all good. It's like, that's not how it normally happens. So I hope you know that. That's cool. Do you reckon because you knew a bit about it, it helped your perception knowing that you might still have a life afterwards? Because one thing I struggle with is the perception of disability from road safety ads or accidents or work safe. The next thing is someone in a wheelchair. They've stopped it now, but in tears like, oh, my life's over. It's like, don't do this because you might end up like this. I was like, don't say that because then people think their life's done. Do you think that helped you having a bit of pre-knowledge, or was there still that shock element when you were lying in that bed?
Well, I'd like to say yes, but like in medicine, even though I'd learned all about spinal cord injuries, like it kind of just stops with like, oh, this is like the symptoms of a spinal cord injury. This is like the management. Like, but we don't really learn about like life with disability after. Like, there's like not really a whole lot of disability education like in the course program like as it is. So like,
can you believe that listening to this right now? Because I know that as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how much disability education do you do at uni? Oh, about one class once in 4 years. You're like, who used the medical industry quite a bit? Disabled people. It's incredible, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. So like, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, so I knew about spinal cord injuries, but like I really didn't know what to expect, like leading on from that. So
You were studying medicine. Are you still studying medicine?
I am still studying medicine. So when I was airlifted to Perisher, from Perisher to Sydney, and then surgery, and then I was in ICU for 5 days, and so I had to obviously take a break. I emailed my course coordinator like the day after my surgery. I was like, hey, just so you know, I can't come to class.
Working
Hey,
Monday.
I'm paraplegic now. And like, what?
I have a spinal cord injury, and she was like, why are you emailing me? Like, you do not need to email me after that kind of thing. But yeah, after 5 days in ICU, I was like, well, everything's online anyway. I may as well just keep going. So I kept studying from rehab, and I finished the year, sat all my exams, and then I was still in rehab at the start of this year.
Jesus, been quick, bro. Like, you're really good at being in a wheelchair. You seem happy. Good on you, mate. That's
Yeah.
quick. Like, we have a lot of people on here obviously never come to terms with their disability.
Question then: is the plan to become a doctor, or would you just wanted to finish the year?
Oh, well, no, I finished the year, and then because I was still in rehab when third year started, it was online for the first couple of weeks, and so I kept going. So I'm still studying. I'm still
Okay. So,
yeah.
question for you: do you think you'll have a better grasp of bedside manner of people with disabilities than most other doctors then? Because a lot of the response we get is that the bedside manner of a lot of doctors, because it's so clinical and there's no emotion or there's a lack of emotion, which you sort of need
By
to have as
design,
well.
by design
By design,
sometimes,
I was going to say. Do you think that'll change the doctor that you become?
Oh, like 200%, absolutely. I've spent like this whole year on placement in the hospital, so like I've been interacting with patients like quite a bit, and like already like I don't know, I feel like I understand so much more of like the patient experience because I lived it for a while, and yeah, just the way like patients interact with me as well, like it's definitely different. Yeah,
I'm sure you're across the Dinesh episode, but Dr. Dinesh is
Absolutely.
a Ripper Bloke, Ripper Book, which is out now, and also a great episode for anyone who's interested in hearing how a doctor with disability operates.
Do you reckon able-bodied people will think you're not as good a doctor because you're in a wheelchair when you come in?
Before I like started placement, I had that like thought in my head. I thought it would be like, I don't know. I had this. I was like, I have to study so hard now. I have to be so smart because I have like so much more to prove. But like being in hospital, like being on different teams with different doctors, like no one like treats me like any different. Like, yeah, I don't get that feel from like the people I work with at least. So
Can I say that kind of sucks? Do you know why I think it sucks? Is that you think that you have to compensate for being in a chair by being the smartest doctor in the room, or at least to the patients to understand that you know everything that's going across. And that's that mindset is perceived on television. Think about the House, had a limp, had a disability, right? Think about The Good Doctor, a doctor with autism who his autistic self made him a genius and he could understand everything. It's this idea that, you're kind of catering for a patient who won't believe in your skills, so you're trying to over-adapt to a situation, which sucks. And that's ableism from, before your accident probably.
yeah, and it's definitely like an ableist mindset that I like had, but I don't like feel that way anymore. I just feel like a regular old medical student.
Good on you, mate. I love that. What kind of medicine do you want to do?
It's a really good question.
Oh, thanks, man. That's why I'm here.
I still got like heaps of years before I need to make those decisions, but I'm thinking like maybe pediatrics.
Cool.
Oh, kids.
Yeah, kids are fun. So like, I wanted to do that before, but it really got solidified in my mind after placement because like the hospital beds are like so big, and then your like patients are like in the middle, and if you're like doing a physical exam, you have to like kind of go from this side and then wheel around to the other side to check that side. But like a little thought in my brain is like, well, kids are so tiny, like
Just
I
move
can
them.
just do it from one side of the
side.
bed,
That's just
Practical
effective.
decision.
That's
I
effective.
thought you were going to say something beautiful, like I love kids and I want to save their life.
Oh,
You're like,
yeah, that's
I just
it.
can reach
Yeah,
outside the
yeah.
bed easier.
Yeah,
Save
yeah.
myself a couple of rolls.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
much more convenient for me.
Well, it's interesting as well because one of the questions I had as well, I wrote down was that I wondered if you would go into spinal cord injury. I wondered if you would try and focus on something. And I know from watching your TikTok, or at least the perception of your person on TikTok, and we'll get into that in a moment, of who you are, and whether they align with who you are in day to day. But I wondered, because there's this thing, right? It's like, okay, well, I'm a medical student. I'm studying to be a doctor. You're about to take, a bunch of different paths into focusing on certain areas. I thought there might be a question in asking, do you want to cure yourself? Are you the person who wants to at 24?
22.
22. Like, you've got 30 plus years minimum as a doctor if you want to, right? You could spend that trying to find out the cure for, spinal cord injury, but that's not the way you're going to go, which is great. And not for the fact that, that might be a solution for people, but I thought maybe, you've got the knowledge and the power and you've got the time, could be something you go down.
That's true, but I feel like there's a lot more smarter people than me who are already on the job.
Yeah.
Plus, they've got to roll around both sides of the bed.
Yeah.
I had a lot of really silly comments around that. Like, what are you going to start? What are you going to do as a job? What is at school? I don't know. Would you do medicine? Just because I'm in a wheelchair? Like, you know a bit about that. I was like, personally, I can think of nothing worse in my life than hanging out in hospital because I used to spend so much time there.
Yeah, true.
That's just why. Like, I'm not dissing anyone who does. Obviously, do a great job, including yourself, mate. But I was like, but like,
you're like my daughter now. When we go, she knows the doctors because it's all vaccinations for her. She's like, no.
Yeah, straight away.
It's like trauma.
As soon as you drive up, they're like, no. That's what I used to feel like.
Dogs with vets.
Monash Medical Centre, Melbourne. I was like, no. It's like, eat a double cheeseburger and shut up. I was like,
okay. Okay, so Mike, let's go on to TikTok. We did a bonus episode last week. We know you heard it, mainly because you were sitting behind us. But we talked about an article that came out in the US which said that it's a blessing and a curse for young disabled humans to creators to post up their life online. A lot of people are finding communities, friends, people with other rare conditions and disabilities and finding connection there. But obviously, the world is a disgusting place online at sometimes, and there's trolls. You went pretty much straight to TikTok. We spoke about 1,300 followers. Now it's at 65,000 plus on Instagram
on Instagram.
And on TikTok, 650,000 odd. You went straight on there. Was that a conscious decision for you to share your story? Were you mindful of changing the narrative? Because, you had your Instagram before. I've scrolled back enough to see the photos you shared, regular stuff. And now it's, usually comedy based around you being in a chair. Can you tell us about whether you created that idea of what you were going to be posting on Instagram and whether that much thought went into it or whether it was just like, this is my life and this is how I live?
Well, I mean, even with the TikTok, like, I never planned to like really grow on TikTok. I made a video because when I had my accident, I was in my wheelchair. I just started posting pictures of me in my wheelchair. I never really explained what happened to me. And so I'm constantly getting messages like, oh, hey, Jimmy, whoa, I just saw this. What happened to you? And I was like, oh, I'll make a TikTok and it'll be funny video. And then it'll just explain it. And it was 10-second video. And then I posted that and then I posted another one. And
it wasn't enough. There's part 4 and 5, I think.
Well, that one came, those story times came well later after, a month later, before these first videos. And then the second one and they blew up and then everyone was like, whoa, what happened? In the TikTok comments, I was like, now I really have to explain what happened. I don't think I was really conscious of making a narrative. It just was just posting stuff, I guess. Yeah. And it just all kind of happened.
The best accounts are those authentic ones, I reckon. Yeah. You fall into it and you go, oh, this is kind of cool.
So then I guess around your age is the funny thing is that it sort of seems that people in there, born in the 2000s, go straight to Instagram to share their story. Instead of we didn't have that, back in our day. But for you, was it about that's just what everyone does? They share, what they're eating every day. They share when they're pooing. But that's also, was it I'm going to share this because that's what I know to do? Or was it because you were sick of everyone asking and this was the easy way to get your story out, which is sort of what our podcast is, because a lot of our guests are I'm so sick of telling people why I don't have 2 legs.
Yeah.
And so hopefully they come on here and someone can be like, oh, I heard the ListenABLE podcast. That's cool. I know exactly what happened to you. Was that it a little bit?
I mean, kind of, but yeah, really it was just I'll just do it. I don't think I put a whole lot of thought into it. And
see, that's me overthinking the fact that you underthought it.
Yeah, even with Instagram, the stuff I post now, it's if you go back and look at my old pictures and the captions, I post kind of the exact same stuff. It's just all stupid me trying to be funny.
Do a good job of it.
Thank you.
Did you understand the social impact you might have had? When did you start realizing, oh, these videos are helping people and we're actually doing some good stuff? When did that click?
I think after I like did the story time and like people stayed interested, like I kind of thought it would just like, you know, with viral videos these days, like you make a video and then like no one like cares about anything else after. But like people like stayed interested and like the comments and like other people with disabilities, you know, other wheelchair users were like commenting and they just were like so happy with my content. And it was just like really encouraging. And like, yeah, I felt, you know, inspired to like, you know, share more of my life and show, more stuff. Like I'm pretty fortunate to have like this platform kind of just like placed on my lap. Like not on purpose really, but I'm pretty excited to like continue with it, I guess.
You should. Doing a great job. I mean, that's how we found you. I mean, it's been a great experience for us. And the person that we've met, I mean, we've been speaking online. This is the first time that we've met. Apart from the fact you demanded a black coffee,
I asked
seemed
for
like a
very little.
Seemed like a pretty nice guy.
I was like, do you know how many TikTok followers I have? Get me a coffee.
Get me a coffee.
And I was like, done.
Okay. I charge it to Dylan's room though.
Yeah, he did actually.
But in saying that, is this the person that Jimmy Jan is? Would you say your mum and dad or, you know, your closest friends and family? Or is it because, I mean, who doesn't, you don't post a photo up when you're upset on Instagram. You only post up a photo when you're happy, right? That's sort of the perception of why would you post up a photo that wasn't? I know a lot of people do. But is Jimmy Jan online the same person that I'd meet if you were in a rush and behind me at the Coles queue?
I reckon so. I feel like I'm pretty authentic to myself online. Like it's so easy on social media to only share like the positives and stuff. And I probably haven't done a good job with like talking about my mental health before, well, like while I was in hospital. But like I am, not to float my own boat, but I'm like a pretty resilient person. So I bounce back like really quickly. And like, but like that being said, like I've still had like, you know, down days and all that. And yeah, I would like to talk more about that, I think, on my TikTok.
That'll come. And also, you don't have to be, we're like, are you authentic? Some people have characters online as well. And you go in and out of having a persona and, you know, it's all right. You can do whatever you want on there. It's content creation.
I had someone ask for me for radio advice, right? I did 15 years of radio before, you know, podcasting full time. But, and I told this guy who's starting out in a regional town, I said, radio, people say, oh, this is my true authentic self on radio. It's not. It's an elevated version of your personality. It has to be. You're getting up at an early time, pretending to be lights on at 6 a.m. when you've been up since 4:30. You're also sort of putting a bit of mayo on every story about your personal life because, you know, you can't slip on a banana Monday to Friday every single day and have a story to tell. So there is a perception of like heightening yourself on radio. So I do believe that there can be a sort of character edge to, I'm not saying you, but to social media. But with yours in particular, I also don't think I think a lot of people think you have to share everything. Like you said, you haven't done a good job of sharing your mental health.
You don't have to.
You don't have to. Like there's meant to be stuff that's private that you keep to yourself or you seek help from the people who are professionals. And yeah, one day if you feel, hey, this is a story I want to share, but that's sort of the narrative of Instagram is that you have to share everything or TikTok. It's like if that's true to you, great. But if you feel like someone's asking you, you know, send a message that's private and just or share that moment with them. And then, this is advice to everyone because I do see people oversharing on Instagram and then regretting it later down the line. Where I've had a friend who did this really deep and emotional post a couple of years ago, and then when I went to talk to him about it, he's like, "Oh mate, it's all good. Like it's really no dramas. Like I just thought I'd put it out there and whatever." And I was like, "Oh okay, that's such a weird reaction that you weren't calling out for help in a call out for help." So yeah, if it also don't feel the pressure of pushing everything out there if you don't feel the need to, because what you're sharing is great. And obviously it's stuff that you want to share. And if you do in your own time, that's fine. But I just hate the idea that people feel like they need to share everything and don't feel like I haven't done a good job. You're doing a great job.
It's so true about radio. We'd come in to work on a Monday morning together. We used to work on radio. What wacky things happen to you guys on the weekend? We're like, I would just watch the footy, 8 Breeds. Full stop. Like there's nothing happened.
Okay, so Uber Eats, what happened? Oh, well, he was late. Oh, tell me more about that.
Yeah, and what was their name? Did they fall off their bike?
Give him 2 stars?
Yeah.
13, 10, 60. What's the least stars you've given an Uber
Yeah,
driver?
like it's honestly like that. You're like,
That's radio.
That's radio, man.
Which I love. I mean, I do love it because if you understand that it's theatre and it's entertainment, then that's completely fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that is funny because that's true. Like you'd come in on a Monday or on a Tuesday, let's say, when you've done nothing between Monday's show, you went home and just like slobbed on the couch and played PlayStation. They're like, "What's some personal stories from your life that you can share this week?" And you're like, "Oh God,
so funny.
shit."
It's so funny.
Make stuff up.
What happens if this keeps? What's the plan with the socials? Are you getting sponsored content yet? You get paid? Yeah,
Yes.
boy. Get
As
the
you
cash.
should. As you should.
You know who's an absolute spono? Loves it. I was about to say the derogatory term. This guy over here.
Why are you
Angus
pointing
Oliver.
to me?
Mate, you do like Smith's.
Hang
You
on.
would do a post
Hang on.
about anything.
Hang on.
Smith's chips.
How
Gotta get that
Microphone
money.
podcast.
how
You do. I've got
Hang on.
actual sponsors.
This week, Grant Burge, HelloFresh,
Yeah, but they're supporting people get healthy food.
Powerade.
Yeah, but you got to look after your electrolytes.
This is what I'm
There's a
saying.
lot of excuses. Come on.
He knows.
Powerade, I've
he
been
knows-
sponsored by Powerade for years. Don't give them.
Didn't you do a Powerade commercial this week?
ages ago? No, I haven't done Powerade in ages. No, Rexona.
Oh, Rexona.
Shout out to Rexona
I
helping,
haven't done Powerade in ages. It was Rexona.
helping people move more across Australia. Love you.
Helping people smell good
Yeah,
everywhere.
and move more.
Yeah.
Can you believe the audacity of you to say that? I mean, I know that he was leading himself into that.
Oh,
That's
very
funny.
good. That's good though. So you're making a career out of it, or you're gonna? Would you? All right, put it this way. Just say you became a big TikTok star, moved into like some acting stuff. Would you rather do that, or you hell bent on the medical side, or a bit of both?
I'm pretty keen to be a doctor.
Yeah.
But I'd like to, get a mix of both.
You like to have both. Absolutely.
Might as
Like,
well.
look
Can
at
have
Dinesh.
both, yeah.
Dinesh is doing huge stuff on socials. He's written a book, but he's in the Gold Coast trauma unit.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dinesh, if that's wrong. I know it's
Yeah.
emergency.
Emergency.
Yeah, but also like I know you can't make TikToks about you being a doctor, like because of patient confidential. But it's cool. Like that's like that'll inspire young people with disability. To be like, I can be a doctor like this kid. You know, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do the Bowl of Uncomfortable. Have you listened to
Wait,
our
wait,
episodes?
wait.
Oh.
Before that, is yours about getting back on the slopes?
No, you've got a different one. Oh, you
Is
go back
yours
to
about
that.
the slopes?
No, it's not.
Before we get to the bowl of uncomfortable, you went back on the slopes like 8 months post injury in a sit ski. Is that correct?
Yeah, 10
You're
months.
a madman. With Sam Tate, Australian Paralympian Sammy Tate, big rip dude,
Superstar.
loves a chin up. He's a big boy. How'd you go? Because that like a lot of people would never revisit their trauma site, let alone have a crack at it. What was it like?
Oh, it was really good. I went in June this year.
It's hard to sit skiing.
Yeah,
It's so hard, man.
Yeah, tell me about it. The first 3 days were like, it was a bit of a disaster. Lots of falling over, but after that, I kind of picked it up. But I went in June because I just had this plan in my little brain to go skiing on my 12-month anniversary, like back at Perisher. But that's why I had to go in June, so I was like decent at skiing by the time August came around.
Just for the content.
Not for the content.
For the
Yeah, I
content
did
in August,
do
when all of a sudden you're just
all the-
ripping.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. But yeah, no, it was really awesome to be back on the snow. I think something I really miss about my able-bodied life is I used to just have fun all the time, and like, yeah, I would have fun every day, and like having fun is just like it's not impossible, obviously, but it like just takes more effort.
planning.
Yeah. And so it was just so good to like have just a whole lot of fun for a couple of weeks.
What's more fun? Is it genuinely more fun to ski and snowboard as an able-bodied person, or did you get the same thrill, adrenaline out of sit skiing?
I definitely once you're like speeding down a slope and you're going like super fast, like you get that thrill. Definitely not as good sit skiing as like an able-bodied skier or snowboarder. So
Just because the independence of getting around on the lift on the snow is quite hard.
Oh, yeah.
not deterring
God, yeah,
any-
I didn't
not-
even think about that.
So you got to get picked up on the lift. You haven't got wheels, so you got to like.
Oh, they stopped the lift, obviously.
Yeah, it's a bit of but not deterring any of our disabled friends out there from having a crack. It's awesome, but I've been once when I was 7. Look at me talking nothing. I was supposed to go this year, but then again, I've just got this thing. I might break my arm, and I probably couldn't break my arm.
Oh, with tennis.
A year to go. No, it was tennis,
Oh, yeah.
and then now as cruising around talking too much as Australian of the Year. So every year I'm like, next year I'm going to go. But yeah.
See you there next year.
We'll go together.
Yeah, how good.
Yeah, sorry, Sammy Tate. You're out of a job, Russ.
Yeah.
Me and Jimmy coming for you.
Let's get into the bowl of uncomfortable, Jimmy. This is for people who haven't heard our podcast before, or maybe watching this on YouTube for the first time. This is where we ask you a question that has been sent in to us by maybe someone who follows you, someone who just wants to know a little bit more about your story, but maybe they wouldn't feel as a stranger, I guess. They wouldn't feel comfortable asking you in person. They give us that responsibility. We've got one each. You ready?
I'll go first. Joanne off the book of face. Do you secretly love your disability? Do you secretly love how your disability has built your fame on social media, helped you score brand deals, etc.?
That's an interesting question.
Go on, Joanne.
I don't think I secretly love it because of that.
Do you love your disability to start? How's that journey?
I'm like, I've accepted like my disability and like the life that I'm living now, and I love it. And I'm, if I could go back and change it, like I probably would. I know a lot of people say like, oh no, not at all. But I'm too close. Like it's like too recent for me to have like come to that realization, I think. So I don't like. Yeah.
I wouldn't have believed you either if you said that you would. Yeah, to be honest.
Absolutely not.
Good on you for being honest. You don't have to come on here and say, "Oh my god, I love it." I do, but doesn't mean you have to.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I think no, I don't think I do. I mean, like, I'm not upset about like how my social media growth has occurred as like a result of my like almost somewhat unique content.
I get that sometimes. Oh, you used your disability to get famous. I go, well, Brad Pitt's used his acting skills and good looks to get famous too. Like, it's part of you.
That's a good.
I'm like, what do you want me to do? Get up and walk? Like, I'm playing wheelchair tennis. Yeah, I'm disabled.
Well, you're using your good licks as well.
Thanks,
thank you,
Jimmy. You can come on whenever you want. But it's when you think about it like that, you're like, yeah, and Roger Federer used his tennis ability too. Like, it's like, it's who you are, it's what you got. There's no problem in that. Yeah,
it's true. My question comes from me. In regards to your disability, when you close your eyes at night to go to sleep, what's the one thing that keeps you up?
Was that you?
That was me.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
The one thing that keeps me up.
Mine is a dripping tap.
Mine, I don't know. I think about running a lot. Cool. I used to really love running.
Going for a run?
Yeah.
You're a maniac.
I think running was like definitely like my favorite form of exercise. And yeah, sometimes, well, like if I'm laying in bed, I actually have this folder on my phone of photos that I compiled while I was in hospital, and it's called Legs, and it's just pictures of me running and like doing like hiking and like random fun stuff that I could like do with my legs. And sometimes I'm like laying in bed and I'll just like pull it out and look at it. And I don't cry anymore when I look at it. Once upon a time in hospital I did, but I feel like that sometimes keeps me up. But then, you go to sleep and
get on with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for being honest. Last one, this is not a bowl. The first video, let's talk about this. Let's not get in the creepy level. 3 guys talking about this. But the first video I saw was like a dating application for you. How did that go? Did you get any saucy DMs?
I need some context.
Give us some,
Give me some more context. What do you mean?
You want to talk about the video you made? That was the main viral one that I saw, but that was taken off,
It was a video, there was like this trend last year, I think, of like, it's like hot dudes and they're like, this is my boyfriend application, and they're like, it's like this, I can't remember what song it is.
Abs, muscles,
and they're like,
job, car.
Yeah, I love family.
I've seen
love
this.
blah, blah, blah. And then mine was like,
parking.
Like
lap to sit on. And you're like, well, look,
I'll never walk away from you. Like,
never walk away with you.
Silly things like that.
And you looked hot in it. You looked good in it.
Well, it was like a joke. Like I was like trying to like make fun of that trend of like being like,
went off.
A bit
like
of a
shit. It was everywhere. I saw it so many times.
Yeah. How'd it go? I am single, so
okay,
and loving it.
Yeah,
I'm
getting a bit naughty.
Pretty busy.
Busy like on that front, or like work?
Just busy in general.
Okay, go.
Hey.
General.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So no, well, I mean, yeah.
Both sides though. Being single in a chair versus being able-bodied. Have you seen much difference?
Well, I think I see like a huge difference because of social media. Like I get a lot of DMs and like a lot of like very thirsty comments.
Yeah, you do.
which I was not getting before. Apparently none of my 1,300 followers thought about me that way before. So
is that a good thing? Because a lot of people be like, thirsty comments. It's got to be good. But is it good that somebody knows your disability? So therefore, it's like, with Tinder, we've talked about this many times with many guests, about the debate of whether I put my disability, my chair, into my profile or not. Whereas these people, they know probably about your accident, your backstory. They know pretty much all about everything about you, at least what you're willing to share. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because that ice is broken. You don't have to roll into a pub and surprise someone that you're in a chair.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. It's kind of nice.
Makes it easier because then you can just actually date the person for them. You don't have to get through all that crap.
And that I guess that they're doing the same for you.
Yeah.
But saying
except the Instagram thing is a different one.
Not everyone with disability has to disclose as well. We're not saying go out there and talk about your neurodiversity. What if you don't want it? You do you. But yeah, in our case, I think we're pretty similar. We're pretty open about it. Mate, I tell you what people are attracted to: authenticity, relatability. You're being authentic. You're getting more DM slides these days because you're being yourself, which is cool.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Well, Jimmy Jan, thank you very much for coming on to ListenABLE. You have been a long time coming. We've been talking about when are you going to be in Melbourne. Dates didn't work out, but luckily, with Dylan being in Sydney and myself coming up here for the day, we managed to make it work. And, we'd love to, follow your story as well as we do on social when we share your stuff. But, maybe do a part 2 down the line and when you do become a doctor.
Can you say on the microphone, I promise to share your videos, ListenABLE? Yeah, we're on there.
I promise to share your
Give
videos.
us the followers.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, mate.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, guys.